Hello fellow cultists, this is DM Now and I'm back with another Shadow Talk. This is episode number 151, 151. And what we'll be talking about today, we being me, is how to use the Foundry VTT for Shadow the Weird Wizard. So before we get into that, let's talk about all the new goodness that has come out of Schwab Entertainment. So we start with the Shadow of the Demon Lord supplement for the Northern Reach, and this is part 5. I believe this is the fifth and final. Yeah, it says final installment. And basically, we've got the heart of the Northern Reach. When travelers think about the Northern Reach, visions of wilderness dotted with a few bright points of civilization spring to mind. Nowhere does the vision match reality better than in the mid-country, sometimes called the Untamed West or the Old Lands. Here stand the rugged settlements of those who hoped for freedoms unavailable anywhere else, and deemed the risk of running into monsters or wicked fairies worth taking. In these lands are the barrows hiding the undead remains of lost princes, the waters of Cold Lake that cover the ruins of an ancient city, and Crossings, the second greatest city in the province. I have to admit, I didn't know that the Cold Lake covered the ruins of an ancient city. I'm going to have to read up on that. Northern Reach Part 5 concludes the tour through the Empire's last province. Some of the material here comes from existing sources, expanded where necessary, to offer a closer look where appropriate. In addition, plenty of locales remain to serve as adventure sites, places of refuge, and origin points for new groups. The supplement, with the others in the series, adds extensive detail to one of the most exciting places in the world of the Demon Lord. Okay, so if if you wanted to expand your campaign into the Northern Reach and get all the details, this is a great series to get. There's 5 supplements altogether, and really expands on what has been made available thus far in Shadow of the Demon Lord. So grab that at DriveThruRPG. Alrighty, so let me see what else we have here. Book of Salvation, Paragons of Virtue, which is a Black Star supplement. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so Book of Salvation, Paragons of Virtue explores the metaphysical concepts underpinning the reality in which Earth finds itself and how ideas about virtues manifest as forces for goodness in the world. In particular, the following pages detail the 4 eudaimons, supernatural entities that incarnate the 4 fundamental virtues: prudence, temperance, courage, and justice. While not gods themselves, these entities can manifest in multiple places at once to watch over and protect those living in accordance with the ideals these entities embody. Thus, a mortal who worships the new god could earn the guardianship of prudence after repeated demonstrations of identifying proper action and taking it. Similarly, a rogue who brings justice to lawbreakers might gain attention from the eudaimon of justice. This supplement gives the most virtuous characters an edge in the battle against the darkness enveloping the world. Okay, so I have the supplement, and again, this is part of the Black Star Kickstarter that's several years old now. And I got to be honest with you, I have it, but I have not read it. Um, I really have not used many of the Black Star supplements. I have used the first supplement when I was wanting to add some monsters from it to one of my, or what was it, my last campaign or the campaign before that. But beyond that, I haven't really used much of the Black Star supplements. It's just a lot to dive into, and I just haven't done it yet. I've also had my concerns about the Black Star products, which you can see in the video that I posted a while back, where I go into detail on my thoughts about the Black Star supplements. But I'm not going to go into that now because I have a whole separate video about that. So anyway, That is available now in also Drive-Thru RPG. And then we have an announcement that says that Weird Wizard comes to China. So let's see what this is all about. With previous successful experience as a painting studio named, I'm not even going to attempt that name. Bard Songs, launched in 2023, has become noteworthy rising force in the TTRPG industry by integrating our expertise in miniature modeling with the design of TTRPG paraphernalia. We have crafted a range of original TTRPG accessories and achieved remarkable results in this realm. The crowdfunding effort for the Romance series modular TTRPG miniature project surpassed 2 million RMB on Chinese crowdfunding platform Zenwuji, gaining broad acknowledgement and support. Following this, the Romance series debuted on the international crowdfunding site Kickstarter, eventually raising over 300,000 USD, significantly boosting the allure of and impact of Bard songs within the TTRPG or the TRPG domain. Meanwhile, the GM Screen series as Triumph of Cadmus and Fonpei Lexicon also earned great attention among TRPG fans. Okay, so I'm not sure what this has to do with Schwab Entertainment. I guess they are offering these products, and Demon Lord and Shadow of the Weird Wizard appear to be a couple of them. So yeah. I guess I should have read the top here. Schwab Entertainment and Bard Songs have reached an agreement, and Bard Songs will handle localization for Shadow of the Weird Wizard in China. I'm thrilled to bring my words to a broader audience and believe my work to be in good hands. With my new friends at Bard Songs, you can find out more about Bard Songs and their impressive offerings below. Okay, so I guess it's a Chinese company. So they are going to start handling Shadow of the Weird Wizard and Shadow of the Demon Lord in China. So I guess that's good news for Schwab Entertainment. That definitely expands their customer base. So welcome to our Chinese friends into the cult. Okay, so let's see what else we have here. Okay, yeah, this is the latest, and I believe this is the last update that we have before we get into the main topic. So Weird Ancestries is out. This is a supplement for additional ancestries. So as you know, Shadow of the Weird Wizard core rulebook has one ancestry, which is the human ancestry, and then there were additional ancestry stats that were available in Secrets of the Weird Wizard. Now this book, the Weird Ancestries, expands on all of that. And so let's just read what it says here. Discover a world of extraordinary beings with weird ancestries. This comprehensive guide introduces 30 unique ancestries, each offering detailed rules, captivating lore, and stunning artwork. From the mysterious Janny to fierce sphinxes and everything in between, these fantastic creatures add depth and excitement to your Shadow of the Weird Wizard campaigns. Customize your characters to reflect their individual origins, professions, and cultural backgrounds. With Weird Ancestries, the possibilities are endless. So yeah, there are 30 ancestries in there. So what I found out was that the options in here are more interesting than the options that were, well, at least for one of my players, it's more interesting than the options that were in the Secrets of the Weird Wizard. So the Secrets of the Weird Wizard basically just gave the stat block adjustments that if you wanted to take one of these ancestries. But this supplement actually expands on and gives additional information and options for these ancestries, including novice path options. And I don't know if they do that for all of the ancestries. I haven't read it that closely, but I know for the campaign that I'm running in Shadow of the Weird Wizard, I had a clockwork, a player that was running a clockwork fighter, but after reading the clockwork entry in Weird Ancestries, he wanted to swap out the fighter for the clockwork novice path. So I, let him do that, and he seems to like that better. So that can happen when you start running a campaign before, a lot of these supplements are available. But at any rate, it's all good, and more options means more fun for everyone. Okay, so that is it for my review of the latest and greatest releases, and let's go ahead and talk about the main topic here. Now I have not scripted myself, so I'm not really sure how I'm going to approach this. I'm just going to start somewhere and see how it goes. So, but I do want to preface this by saying that this is not a Foundry tutorial. And this is not me advocating Foundry over other VTTs. So Foundry is one VTT amongst many. It has its strengths and it has its drawbacks, and it's my go-to for certain games. Other games I use Roll20, and I've thought about using other VTTs for other games, such as the Owlbear Rodeo VTT, but I've yet to do that. So right now for me, it's basically Roll20 and Foundry. But I know a lot of people like many other VTTs that are out there. Alchemy seems to be a big one. Fantasy Grounds is certainly, I think, number 2 or 3 of the big 3. And so there's lots of different virtual tabletop options. For Shadow the Weird Wizard, I'm only familiar with it being available as a character sheet option and as a customizable option for the Foundry virtual tabletop. Now that's not to say that it might not be available in other virtual tabletops. I know that Fantasy Grounds has a lot of Shadow the Demon Lord content, but I don't use Fantasy Grounds, so I don't know if they have begun creating content for Shadow the Weird Wizard as of yet. I would imagine out of all the VTTs out there, it would probably be the next to adapt Shadow the Weird Wizard, but I don't know if it has already or if it plans to. So, to my knowledge, Shadow of the Weird Wizard is only available in Foundry, and I could be wrong again, so correct me if I am. So that's why I'm using it, which is good for me because I like Foundry, and I've taken a significant amount of time to learn how to use Foundry. Now, that is one of the drawbacks of Foundry, is that the learning curve is fairly steep, which is why this is not a tutorial. And if you're watching this video, my assumption is that you have a working knowledge of how Foundry works. And if so, you probably have a better working knowledge than me. I feel like I know enough to be dangerous. But it is it's pretty good to use once you have gotten through that learning curve. But again, I'm assuming you know what I'm talking about. I will expand on certain things as I feel is needed, but for the most part, I'm going to assume you kind of know what I'm talking about and you're following along all right. Okay, also, there are plenty of videos out there that do have tutorials for Foundry. So I would recommend going and watching those if you don't have a very good working knowledge of Foundry and you want to learn. But again, just be warned, it will take some work to get comfortable in Foundry. Okay, so this is my campaign that I'm running my current game in, and so you can use this virtual tabletop a couple of different ways. Now you can use it basically just for maps and for dice rolling. I wouldn't recommend it for that. Foundry has lots of bells and whistles, but using it just for maps and for dice rolling, there's some complication in here that probably doesn't make this the best virtual tabletop just for that function. I would steer you towards either Roll20 or Owlbear Rodeo if you're just wanting to use a virtual tabletop for maps and for dice rolling. I use Foundry for the automation and a lot of the features that are available in Foundry that you can't find in some of the other virtual tabletops. So for Shadow the Weird Wizard, it has a module. I call it a module for lack of a better term. But basically, a module is a series of rules that customize Foundry for the game that you're running. So there are modules for D&D 5th edition. There are modules for Pathfinder. And tons of other games out there. And this module is for Shadow the Weird Wizard. Now, what does that mean exactly? Well, what it means, first of all, is that it provides a character sheet for players, and it also provides a NPC sheet for game masters. So your players can create their characters and maintain their character sheet in the virtual tabletop. And there is automation that is built into the character sheet, which can be activated or not, just depending on your preferences. And again, depending on how much work you want to put into this. For the GM, the NPC sheets are great, so you can put all of your monsters, all the monsters that are available or that you're using for a particular adventure or whatnot, in the NPC sheet, so you can automate attack rolls and things like that. So that's the first thing that's available. The second thing is available is the compendium. Now, unfortunately, the compendium is limited currently, and I believe unless Schwab Entertainment provides the okay or authorizes somebody to expand on the compendium. Right now, it's just very, very basic. But the nice thing about Foundry is that it lets you create your own compendium, which means that you can add rules and automation yourself into this module. So let me show you what the basic compendium consists of. So there's two compendiums here. There's the core equipment compendium, and this is actually part of the Weird Wizard compendium. So when you download the Shadow the Weird Wizard module in Foundry, then it comes with this Weird Wizard compendium. So this particular folder has two items. It has armor and it has weapons. And so this will have all of the armor options from the core rulebook, and it will have all of the weapon options from the core rulebook as well. So that's the first compendium. And then the second compendium is the Shadow of the Weird Wizard, which also has the Weird Wizard tag down here. And it consists of hirelings. Well, it has an equipment folder, but the only thing in it is hirelings. And then it has the character options folder, which consists of ancestries. And unfortunately, ancestries only has one option in it right now, which is humans, because that's what's available in the core rulebook. Paths, and unfortunately, currently, it only has 4 novice paths from the core rulebook. It does not have any of the novice paths from Weird Ancestries. And then professions, it will list the various profession types. There's a folder for each, and then detailed professions are included therein. And then finally, you have option benefits. So that would be system documentation. Well, let's see here actually. No, that would be ancestry traits. Get rid of that. It'd be ancestry traits, and again, we just have human in here. Talents, which would be for the 4 novice paths that are available. Spells, and unfortunately there are no spells in there currently. And then, I think that's it. And then we have the system documentation, which is basically how the rules work for this module. So that's what comes with Shadow the Weird Wizard. Now, you might be seeing other things on here that I haven't reviewed, and that's because these are things that I have added. So all of these options have this tag down here. It says Weird Wizard, which means it comes with the module. Now, when you add or create your own compendium, then you add your own tag. So I did this magic compendium here, and my tag for it is Earth. And this is where I am building out all of the traditions that are available in the core rule book, Shadow the Weird Wizard, and all the spells and the talents that go with the traditions. So you can see here I built out Aeromancy. I've got the 4 talents for Aeromancy, and I've got the novice tier spells in here. Now this is something that you have to build out yourself, and it is a time-consuming and not a very fun task. But it is possible for you to do this in here, which, making it possible gives you the option of spending the time and effort if you choose to do so. Now the benefit of doing it this way is that your players don't have to. Now you may not want to do it yourself, and you may prefer that the players do it, and that's fine. They can certainly build the talents and spells themselves into their character sheet, but that doesn't, in my experience, players really don't like doing homework. So if you're wanting your players to have access to spells and all that without having to look it up in the book or the PDF or whatever every time they cast it, then it's just easier for me to build the stuff into the module rather than expecting that the players are going to do it, because I know my players are not going to spend the time to do that. Well, some of them might, but for the most part, most people don't want homework after, for their role-playing games. So I'm just, building these out as needed. Now, I'm at this point, what I just said is as needed. I haven't built every tradition out, and I have not added all the talents and all the spells. I'm only doing it for those that the players are choosing, and also for any that my NPCs may be utilizing. So it is a work in progress as I go through. So you may want to know, well, how do you do it now? How do you build this stuff? Well, again, this is kind of Foundry 101, but let me show you how to do this. So basically what you would do is you would create, well, first of all, you would have to create your compendium, and you do that by clicking this Create Compendium button. Once you have your compendium created, then you have a framework like this where you can create an item or create a folder. So the next step would be creating a folder, creating an item. You can create a folder, or you can create an item. So the first step I would do is create a folder. So I can create a folder for a new tradition, and let me just say it's Nelmancy. And then you can have a different color for your folder, and you can choose whether it's listed alphabetically or manually. Just leave it at alphabetical for now, and you create a folder. And then you can see down here you got Nelmancy. So once you have Nelmancy, you open the folder and you have 2 options: create another folder or create an item. So at this point I would create another folder, a subfolder, and this would be talents. And stick that in there, and then I would create yet another folder, and I would label this spells. Okay, so now you have a folder for your to keep your spells and to keep your talents in. Now, going further, I would create yet another folder under spells for novice tier. because in Shadow the Weird Wizard, the spells are categorized by not only tradition, but also by the tier levels. So you got novice, you have expert, and then you have master tier spells. Okay, so you can do that. And then, under your talents, you would just add your talent. So let's say I want to add a talent for my Nelmancy tradition. So I would click on this button, which is the add item, and I would be adding a trait or talent. And so what would my first Nelmancy talent be? Well, let's say it is, oh heck, Bolt of Awesome. Okay. Then you create new item, and then you have Bolt of Awesome here. So then you would describe it under the description portion of the page here. But before that, you go up here and you say, you got the source. Is the source an ancestry, a novice path, expert path, master path, magical talent, or other? I'm going to say this is magical talent. Click on the magical box here. It just denotes it as a magical talent. Doesn't really do anything mechanically. And then uses or tokens. And then you have some level or half level options available here as well. So then you can just say, what does Bolt of Awesome do? Well, let's see here, a bolt. Let's see, you create a say purple bolt of magical energy that emerges from your, or that explodes from your mouth and assaults the reason and senses of your enemies. Okay, so that's what it does. You can also go on and say what it does mechanically. Make a will attack versus your target's will. On a success, the target is stunned until the end of your next turn. Okay, so that's how that works, and then you can actually automate that. So you would automate that by going in here. Actually, would it be in here? I don't know if it's in there. Let me try the first one here. So instant effects. You can deal damage, heal damage, lose health, regain health, lost health, or bestow affliction. So that's what we want to do. So on user cast, effect target, enemy tokens only, and then bestow affliction, and this would be stunned. Then you submit changes, and I forgot to name it. So Bolt of Awesome. Bolt of Awesome, there you go. And you close it, and there you go. I have a talent created for the Nelmancy tradition. Okay, so you would do the same for any spells. You create a spell. Nels. I don't know. Nels Pillar of Awesome. Continuing with the awesome theme here. And this is a spell. And then now you basically do the same thing as you would a talent. There's really not a whole lot of difference between talents and spells, other than spells have castings, and talents may or may not be limited on how many uses you have per day. So, here you have a spell. You can denote the castings. You can specify the target. You can specify the duration, and then you specify the spell effects here. And then again, you can automate it here. So I'm not going to go through that right now, but you get the idea. This is how you create things. Now, luckily, all of the work for the spells from Shadow the Weird Wizard is already done for you. All you have to do is cut and paste it into the template here. So, if this were the necromancy tradition, then basically all I would have to do is to, instead of this being Nell's Pillar of Awesome, I would have typed in the name of the spell from the necromancy tradition, and then I would have typed in the castings, the target, and duration, and then cut and paste the information from the PDF into here, or you can type it out manually, whichever's fastest for you. I would have to cut and paste because my typing is atrocious. I can type really fast, it's just my error rate is also pretty high. So anyway, so for example here, I've got 0 spells under necromancy. I haven't built that out yet, but under aeromancy, I've got all the spells here. Cacophony is one of the novice tier spells, and I basically just typed it out. You can add automation here in the description, or you can just automate the information over here in the automation tab. Either way is okay. You end up at the same place. Okay, so that is how you would build out your compendium for spells and for your traditions. Again, a lot of work, but at the end of the day, it's worth it for me. Okay, so I'll close that out here. So that's my magic compendium. So I also have a character options compendium that I built out, and again, it's got the tag of Earth here. And I called it my DM Nell compendium, and when I open it, I have several items in here. So I have an ancestry folder. This is different than the ancestry folder that's available under the Shadow the Weird Wizard over here, because I want to keep them separate, because anytime there is a new addition or an update to the module in Foundry, then anything that you would add to the Weird Wizard tag is erased. So that's why I don't add anything to the Weird Wizard compendium. I just create my own compendium so that, if there is an update to the module, it's not going to screw around with my creation. Okay, so the DM Nell compendium has the tag of Earth, and when you open it up, it's got 6 folders in it. The first folder is Ancestry, and this is where I built out all the ancestries that I wanted to include as options for my campaign. And just taking one of the ancestries here, for example, I've got the Changeling, and this is the thing that would be dragged into the character sheet to add all of the options for Changeling if you want to automate that for your player characters. Now again, your player characters will be able to, or your players would be able to add this themselves manually if they're good at doing homework, but again, I can't really rely on them doing that. So I went ahead and created the ancestries. So you do this basically the same way as I showed you how to do it for the traditions and the spells. You basically add an item here. You create a new ancestry. So you know what? Let's just do this from scratch here. Okay, so I have these ancestries here. So I am going to create a new ancestry and call it the Nellman. The Nellman ancestry is like a human, only much more awesome. So the Nellman ancestry is right there alphabetically, And then I want to create a folder underneath for Nelman traits. Okay, we'll stick that in there, and that's good. Now I want to create the actual ancestry for the Nelman. So this is going to be Nelman ancestry, and this is going to be an ancestry, and it's in my Nelman folder. You create a new item, and now you have the Nelman ancestry. So this is where you type in all the details that sets your new ancestry apart from any other ancestry. So, I could add that Nelman has, higher senses, or actually if you were modeling Nelman after this Nelman, you would be deaf, your eyesight ain't so good, and yeah. So, however, you do get a bonus language being a Nelman. I have a bonus language in my head, so you can give your Nelman ancestry a bonus language. And then any attributes that you might want to add for your Nelman. Is your Nelman's natural defense modified? Is it higher than the average standard natural defense? Maybe, maybe not. Do you have a bonus to your health? Maybe, maybe not. How big are you? Well, if you're modeling Nelman after this Nelman, then you're barely at the size 1 level. So I would just leave it at size 1. But if your custom ancestry is a size 2 or maybe a size 1/2, then you would type those in there. And speed, how fast is your Nelman going to be? I don't know. So then, does Nelman have any immunities? And then any traits you would drop in here. So this is why you have a separate traits folder over here, because you need to drag and drop traits into your Nelman ancestry. But we've created our Nelman ancestry, so I can close that out. And now we just need to give Nelman some traits. So, what traits do we want to give Nelman? Well, let's give him the awesome trait. And drop down, this is a trait. You create a trait, and then you type in why Nelman is awesome. Is it a magical trait? Does the awesome trait have uses per day? That sort of thing. And then once you finish that, then now you have a trait that you can drag and drop into your Nelman ancestry. So that's how you build out your traits in Foundry. So that is the ancestry folder. I also have an equipment folder. As you can see here, I put in most of the common equipment that adventuring parties will pick up at one point or another, and I'd add to it as needed. So you can see I got torches, tinderbox, ropes, blah, 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 and his usual equipment list. One thing that's interesting about this equipment list is that you can build out, in Foundry, you can build out a container. So let's just, where's it? Backpack. So a backpack is considered to be a container, which means that it holds other items. And so, you can add an item to your equipment list that is a container that has a capacity. Now, a backpack has a capacity of 8 items, as per the Shadow of the Weird Wizard core rulebook, which means that 8 different items that you would normally carry on your person is instead carried in your backpack. So this actually will count as one item that your character is carrying, even though it contains up to 8 other items. But your backpack is only considered one item, and that goes towards the limit that you are able to carry. As you may or may not know, in Shadow of the Weird Wizard, there's a carrying limit that each character has. Their carrying limit is the number of items equal to their strength score. So if your strength is 11, you can carry 11 distinct items. Some items count as 2 items or more. Some items count as 0 items because they're so small. But at any rate, backpacks are really cool as they can carry additional items, and they don't count towards that in your character sheet. Count towards your item carrying limit in your character sheet. Okay, so I got the equipment folder here. I've got novice path traits, master path traits, which I haven't done anything yet, and expert path traits. So novice path, I have these built out for the 4 core rule book, and then I built one out for the clockwork. So if you look at this again, you have the fighter. Now this is what you would add to your character's character sheet to give them the fighter talents and all of the modifiers that go with being a fighter. So you do this exactly the same way as I did the ancestry up here, except when you're building it, you choose path instead of ancestry. So every time you build anything, you have to choose what you're wanting to build. Do you want to build a piece of equipment? Do you want to build a talent or trait? Do you want to build a spell? Do you want to build an ancestry, profession, or path? So, to create a novice path, you would select the path option, and then you have the shell for building a path. Now again, this is just simply a matter of copying from the Shadow of the Weird Wizard core rulebook. If you're wanting to add the options from that book, you would add the plus you get for being a fighter or a mage or a rogue. You get the natural defense bonus for that path if there is one, and so on and so forth. And you do so for each level that you get a benefit for. So there's a level 1 path, there's a level 2 path, there's a level 5 path, and so you would have to fill that out for each of those paths in order to have that automation kick in when that character reaches that new level. So if I fill this out properly, then when that expert gets to that next level, they'll get those options automatically. So as an example, this is a level 1 fighter. These are all the things that level 1 fighters get per the core rulebook. And then here's a level 2 fighter. These are all the things a level 2 fighter gets per the core rulebook. And this is a level 5 fighter, and these are all the options that the fighter gets at level 5. And so you copy and paste all this information from the Shadow of the Weird Wizard core rulebook, and then once you have the novice path created for the fighter, then you have to create all of the traits. And if you have things like fighter styles, then you have to, I created a separate folder for that just to keep it separate from the traits. I didn't say this was easy. I told you it was going to be a lot of work. But this is how you can, customize your Shadow of the Weird Wizard module for your campaign. Okay, so I'm not trying to scare anybody away. It does seem like a lot of work, but really it's a lot of mundane, repetitive work. So a lot of cutting and pasting, going back and forth from the PDF to the to Foundry. So it's not difficult work. It's just a pain in the ass. Okay, that's why I would pay big money for somebody to do this for me, like they did for the Shadow of the Demon Lord module. But that has yet to materialize. So since I'm running a Shadow of the Weird Wizard game right now, then that's why I'm choosing to do this work. Okay, and then finally I have weapons. So there's a weapon tab over here, but it's not all, it's inclusive of all the weapons that are in the core rulebook, but there are certain things that are not included, and so I added those things in here myself. So we have arrows, crossbow bolts, improvised weapon was not included in there, so I added that. And then I added the slam option for monsters as a monster option. Okay, so anytime I want to create a new weapon, I would do that. And again, do it the same way, create an item. You indicate it's a piece of equipment because a weapon is a piece of equipment. And then you just go from there. All right. So that is the compendium, and that's how you can build the compendium out and customize it for your game. Good times, right? Yeah. So at any rate, then you have, what else do you have here? So you have the journal, which you can create a journal to keep track of your game. You can also create, lore. A journal is just that. It's for whatever you want to document. So I currently have a tab for characters, so I can keep track of all what's all going on with my characters. I have a tab for the gods so that I can just go to the gods here without looking for it in the book. And I have a list of NPCs in here as well. Currently, I've built out 3 NPCs that I have not yet introduced in my game. And, again, you can use this for whatever you want. Then you have items. So the items tab here is similar to the items tab over here in the compendium. It's just like a temporary holding place for items if you're wanting just to have something, to create something for a specific game. And you may or may not use that again in a future game. If you're going to create something that is going to be used in future games, then I would go ahead and do it over here in the compendium. But since, I'm creating some items over here that I'm not sure I'm going to be using again, then I create it here temporarily, and then if I want to move it over to the compendium, I certainly can do that. So you can see that I created an amulet protection from curses. I have combat training, which it was basically me practicing with building the combat training thing. I actually can get rid of this now. I think let me go ahead and delete that. Don't need that anymore. Let's see, I have a couple of inscriptions that I created in here. I have another item from the core rulebook, and then I created a custom item down here. So these are all items that I may introduce into a future game. So that is the items tab, and then your actors tab is where you create your player characters or you create your NPCs. So I have an opponents folder here where I have all the monsters, and I have them categorized. So you can see undead, monsters, NPCs, oozes, humanoids. So I have like goblins and orcs under humanoids, constructs, which actually Shadow of the Weird Wizard calls them creations, but I'm used to calling them constructs, so I'll just call them constructs. And then animals, which Shadow of the Weird Wizard calls them beasts, but I just we'll stick with animals. It's easier on my brain. Okay, so that is how I've created them. And if you want to again create a monster, basically you create a monster. So you have a Nell killer. It's an NPC, and you can create them out here however you'd like. Give them their attributes, give them equipment if you want. What type of creature is it? Is it a demon? Is it a devil? Is it a monster? Is it a human? Whatever. What is a Nell killer? And the thing about these NPC sheets is that they are locked when you initially create them, and then you need to unlock them. So you unlock them by right-clicking on this hamburger over here that has the lock symbol, and you click the toggle editable mode, and then you can start adding your different actions that your Nell killer monster might have. Reactions, and then end of round effects that you want to include, and any specific traits or immunities or any other options that you want to add to your monster. Now again, this is mostly for me. This is mostly just cutting and pasting from the Shadow of the or Secrets of the Weird Wizard book when I am creating monsters that already exist. So again, it's just a lot of repetition, cutting and pasting, typing in numbers and stuff like that. Bit of a pain in the butt, which is why I only have a few that I've created out here for the games that I am currently running. And as I create a new quest and see that I need to have different monsters, then I will create the monsters over here, and I will have them beforehand, and I'll have them ready to go for the game. I might do a future video on prepping for a game, kind of similar to how Sly Flourish does his prepping for a game video. But I'm by no means a lazy DM. So, okay, so that's how you do an NPC. Now for player characters, they want to create an actual um, actor. So to create an actor, you click on this create actor, and so you want, and it, give you the option to create an actor here. And let's just name our actor Nell. To continue with our theme, this is a player character, and you can stick them in the player character folder. I'm going to stick them in the test files folder. And so here is Nell. Now, now what do I want Nell to be? Do I want him to be a fighter? Do I want him to be a rogue? Well, if you know me, you know that I am a wizard guy. I like spellcasters. So I need to add an ancestry, and I need to add a path, a novice path. So Nell would have to, me being Nell, would have to manually type all that stuff in. And so under ancestry here, you'd have to click to add an ancestry, and you'd have to fill out all the stuff. And then you would have to add a path, a novice path, and you have to manually type in all that stuff. And then traits and talents should be in your path or your ancestry or your novice path, which will appear over here automatically. And then you would have to add your background information when you hit that tab over here on the right. Incidentally, all these options have tabs over here on the right for different pages of different parts of your sheet. So the first tab is the summary tab. The second tab is the details tab. The third tab is weapons and equipment, and this is where it tells you how many things you're carrying. The next tab is your talents and traits. So every time you add a talent or a trait, it's listed here. The next tab is your traditions and spells, and then the last tab is the tab that you can apply effects to your character. So you can apply temporary effects such as afflictions, or you can add custom effects down here. If you and your game master create something cool that doesn't have an existing trait or the other T word. Okay, so this is your character sheet. So once you have your ancestry in here and your path, you're ready to go. But poor Nell here doesn't have anything. So this is where my compendium comes in handy. So I said that I am a wizard guy, right? So let me go to the compendium here. First of all, I need to pick my ancestry. So what kind of ancestry do I want my wizard to be? And I am going to choose a dragonette. No, actually, I'm going to choose a Nell man. Because, that's what Nell is, a Nell man, right? Okay, so I would... actually, I'm not going to do that. let me choose something that actually has stuff pre-populated. So let's do a dragonette. So I would take this dragonette dragonette ancestry and drag it over here into my character sheet. So you can see it automatically gives me my size and my speed, and it gives me these talents: sleight form, prehensile tail, fragile flyer, and fire breath. That's because I took the time to build out the dragonette ancestry over here. It's got all the stuff listed in here. Okay, so when you drag and drop it into your character sheet, all of that is copied over to your character sheet automatically. Easy peasy. Okay, so now I have my ancestry, and so now I need a path. So I'm going to choose the mage path and move it over here. And so you can see that gives me an additional talent, which is Mage Implement. It also gives me some languages, Common and Arcane. And that's pretty much about it. So at this point, I have the template for a mage. Now, of course, I still have to pick my spells and my traditions. That I would have to do manually. And by manually, I mean I have to figure out what I want. And then once I figure out what I want, then I have to go over here to the compendium tab and choose what I want from the options. So, well, let's just do that right now. So if I remember correctly, I get 2 traditions. So I'm going to pick the Eldritch Tradition. Do I have any spells in there? No, I'm not going to pick that. Okay, so let me just pick Aeromancy because it's right here. So I pick Aeromancy, and then first of all, you got to pick your talent. So I need a talent. I'm going to pick Jolt. So my first talent is going to be Jolt. And then I get to learn 4 spells at first level, I believe. So I'm going to pick 2. I'm going to pick Wind Wall and Forked Lightning. Right? Okay, so those are that is my first. That's my first tradition, and I'm going to pick another tradition. Let's see, which is another one that I've built out here. I really should build out Nelmancy. That's going to be an awesome tradition. Let's pick out teleportation. Do I do that? No. Do I do protection? No. Okay, well, let's just go one by one here. Yeah, here we go. So alchemy. So Nell is going to be an alchemist. So I pick a talent for that. And I'll just pick corrosive globule. So I've got that in there as my talent. And then I get 2 spells from this. I'm going to pick minor animation because that sounds fun. And then I'm going to pick oil slick. All right, so there you go. I've got my novice tier first level character pretty much built out. I still have to determine what stats I want to use for the mage, and I have to add those in there. But once I have those, then I am ready to rock and roll. I also have to add equipment. So, the rule book tells you what equipment you can choose, since those are choosable. That's not automated anywhere. So you have to go to your equipment tab and choose, the items that you want to choose for your first level character, and you have to drag and drop those onto your character sheet. So, for example, I believe one of the options all the options allow you to have a backpack. So I'll throw that over there. I will throw. Alchemist has to have a poultice, so I'll throw a poultice over there. Let's see, what else? Probably canteen or water scan. Need that. Oh, bedroll. Gotta have a bedroll. And yeah, you get the idea. Anyway, there's a list in the core rulebook that tells you the equipment packages that you can choose from, and you would choose the items that are appropriate to that equipment package. Okay, so that is how you create a character in your Foundry module. Once you have your character, this is basically your token, unless you create a new token for your character. So, I don't like everybody having the same token. So, I would choose a mage, and you have to upload assets into Foundry in order for you to have, artwork that you may have purchased from, say, a different virtual tabletop or from DriveThruRPG, or even if you created some artwork from, things like Token Stamp or different websites that allow you to create tokens. So you have to import those into Foundry. You can do it a couple different ways. The easiest way is to just go to the image browser. I just clicked on the image here. This is your character portrait. This is not your actual token. Your prototype token is up here. I'll get to that in a sec. But if you wanted I'm going to use the same image for the prototype token as I am for my portrait here. So what I want to do here is I can go to the assets that I have already uploaded into Foundry, or I can upload an asset directly into my character sheet here, and by default to Foundry, by going to this upload section down here at the bottom and choosing File. So first of all, let me show you how to do it in Foundry for assets that you've already uploaded. So I have an art folder, and I have PC tokens in here that I've uploaded, and I have an Arcanus folder, and I've got all of these pieces of art that I have collected over the years from Roll20 and other places. And these are all wizards that I have, so I'm just going to pick one, and this is going to be my token, right? No, this is going to be my portrait, but I'm going to do the same thing for my token. So I go over here to prototype token, click on that, and then I have my token name. And if you want people to see your token name, then you can choose to have it displayed. If you don't want to have it displayed, you can change it, and you can customize that by the options listed here. But to get the actual token, you go to the Appearance tab here, and then this first item is Image Path. So I need to find the token again. So once again, I go click on that, click on this button over here, go to the image that I had chosen, hit Select File, and so I have that image. Okay, so do I want that image to have a token ring around it? Well, some people like that, some people don't. I've kind of started getting used to it, so I do want a ring, and I do want to customize the color. So all of my PCs are blue, and all of my enemies are red. So this is what I will do to customize the ring for my my character here. So I have all that. Now I need to have vision, so I need to ensure that the vision is enabled here. If my character were to have special vision, then you can choose those options here. So it defaults to basic vision, but do you have dark vision? Do you have monochromatic vision, tremor sense, that sort of stuff? You have light source options. If your character emits light, you can automate that here. Display bars, do you want to display your health for others to see, or any other stats? And then facing, this is how your this is how your token is facing. It shows a little arrow in which direction it's facing, unless you disable that. And you disable that little facing arrow by clicking on this box right here to disable direction indicator. I don't dig it, so that's what I do. Okay, so update token. So now I have my image for my portrait, and then I have an identical token over here. And so I'm pretty much done with my character sheet, or with my character. Then I can close the character sheet, come over here to my test files where Nell is, and then I can drag and drop the character into, well, maybe I have to do it over here. Yep, there we go. Drag and drop the character over here, and now I have my token, which I can move around. If I had a grid, this image didn't have a grid. This page didn't have a grid, so I have to kind of manually move them around. But you can see he is a token. Now, tokens have a lot of options just to themselves. If you right-click on a token, then you have 2 columns worth of information. Now, I probably should have gone back and talked about this before, but there are modules that you can add to your campaign to add certain effects. And one of the modules that I've added is the light module, or the torch module. Now, modules are over here. Over here in this double cog icon, game settings. And you can see manage modules. And you can get modules. Most modules are generally free, although I think you may have to purchase some modules. And you can find them in Foundry, and you can download them into your Foundry if you want. And then once you have them downloaded in your Foundry, then you can select which modules that you've downloaded to apply to each of your campaigns. And so for this one, I have Torch as one of the modules that I've downloaded. I have a bunch of others here. I'm not going to go into those, but the modules basically help. They're like the APIs in Roll20, if you're familiar with those. But anyway, they help enhance the basic module for whatever campaign you're running. Okay, so I have Torch. Torch is one of the options. So when I right-click on a token, you can see this torch icon, and that enables your character to have a torch lit, which provides lighting for your token. And then you click on it to light the torch, and then you click on it to douse the torch. There's an elevation indicator here, which enables you to, let's say you're on, because you're on a 2D map here, right? Let me just move him now over into an actual map. Okay, so get my test scene up here, and let me move Nell onto my test scene. Okay, so you can see Nell is on a 2D surface. We assume he's on the ground, but what if he's on top of the house? Okay, so here's a house. What if he's on top of the house? Well, you can put him on top of the house, but is he on top or is he inside the house? Well, it looks like he's inside the house, right? But you can toggle your indicator, your elevation indicator here, to say that you are actually higher than ground level. So I'm going to say that I'm actually on top of the house, which is, let's say, 30 feet up. 30 feet is 10 yards, and we use yards as the basis of movement and distance in Shadow of the Weird Wizard, right? So now I've got an indicator of elevation indicator of 10 yards. So this tells me right here that I'm 10 yards above ground level, right? So if I were to be over here, so let's say that, this is my adventuring party, right? And this is an orc, and I want to attack the orc. Well, I can't attack the orc directly because I'm on top of the house 10 yards above her, right? So I can shoot down at her, but otherwise I can't attack her. She cannot attack me with melee either. She would have to come over here and climb the house in order to get up to me. So this elevation indicator just is helpful to keep it straight who is on ground level and what tokens are all on the same level. All right, so let me change that back to 0. Okay, what else is available? So if you want to make your token prominent on your map, or if you want to send them to a lower background, you can do that. There's also some configuration tool. Toggle visibility state is an option if you have invisibility as an ability. Assign status effects basically just allows you to put status effect on your token as a reminder. So let's say you're slowed. If you click that snail icon, it'll put that icon on your token in the upper left there, just to remind you that you are afflicted with the slow affliction. And you just click it again to get off of it, and so on and so forth. And then toggle target state. Targeting is an interesting option in Foundry. You can actually target an enemy if your token is selected and you're wanting to attack this enemy over here. You can target them by clicking the toggle target state. Click on, whoops, okay, I'm doing that wrong. Okay, so let's say the orc targeted me, then you can untarget like that, I think. But at any rate, if you're wanting to target a creature, targeting is a thing. I'm not really sure how it works with the icon here. I'm going to have to read up on that because I'm not targeting myself. I'm targeting a creature. So anyway, I don't know how to do it from the token effects, but I do know you can target a creature by selecting the target over here and then clicking on the creature that you're targeting. So that's how it should work over here, but I don't know why it's not. But at any rate, that is how that works. And then the last item on your token, when you right-click your token, is this toggle combat state. What this will do, if you click on that, that puts you on the combat tracker. So the combat tracker is a second icon from the left. It says combat encounters when you hover over it. And by clicking this toggle combat state, that adds you to the combat tracker. Okay, so let's talk about the combat tracker a little bit. So combat tracker is designed for Shadow of the Weird Wizard, so it gives you the enemy phase and the allies phase. If you choose to take the initiative, which is one of the options that you see when you right click on your name here, your token's name, take the initiative is one of the options. So when you click on that, it moves you from the allies phase up to the initiative phase, which enables you to go before the enemy's phase. So that's how that works for taking the initiative. See? Okay. So this is basically your initiative tracker, your combat encounters option, and yeah, there you go. That's how you get a token. That's how you build a character. So about the only thing left to cover is, adding a map. So adding a map is in the scenes icon here, which is the third from the left. And when you add a scene, you click on that token, then you create a scene up here. So when you click on that, you have to name your scene. So I'm just going to call this sewer. And I'm not going to put it in a folder. And create a new scene. Okay, so this again relies on artwork that you have already uploaded into Foundry, or artwork that you're going to go out and look for while you're doing all this. Okay, so the main part is this background image. That is the map that you're adding. So you click on this Browse Files, and again, you either choose a folder from the assets that you've uploaded into Foundry, or into Foundry, and in my case it says the Forge because I use the Forge as a host for my games. You don't need a host. You can host games directly yourself. I don't know how to do that. I've not tried to do that. I just find it easier to pay somebody to host games for me. And so the Forge is the company that I use to host my games for me. That's why it says the Forge assets. So you have to upload assets either into the Forge or into Foundry, however you're doing it. So this time I'm going to show you how to do it if it's not already uploaded into either Foundry or the Forge. So you go down here where it says upload, you select choose file. And so then you have to go and find, the artwork that you want to use. Well, I keep all of my artwork in a specific folder called Foundry Data. And so what I want to look for is, oh, you know what? It's on my laptop. It's not on this computer. Okay. So this is a bad example. See if I have any maps up here. I probably do. Let me see. Shadow of the Demon Lord. Do I have a map in there? Nope. I'm failing. Dungeon Draft. Here we go. Maps. All right. Now we're rocking. So, oops. Let's go back. My maps. These are maps already created, I believe. Okay, so let's do a bandit camp. Okay, so I selected bandit camp. It doesn't like that. So it only affects certain file types, and apparently the map file type is not one that it likes. Okay, here we go. There we go. We got some maps over here. Let's pick one of my DCC maps. Okay, let's do this village map. Didn't like that either. Oh, shoot. Red Hat and Doom, maybe? Okay, let's try that one. Okay, so there we go. I added this map to my options. I'm going to select that map now, and that is my map file. So this is Fane of Tiamat. That's the map that I am uploading. Okay, so I selected the file that I want. I named it. Now I have to make it fit the grid if I want a grid. If you don't want a grid, you can take the grid off. You can determine lighting. Do you want it globally illuminated, or do you want it dark so that you have to use a light source in order to see anything? There are various options here. Again, I'm not going to train you on how to do all that. You can watch a video, but anyway, this is the basics on how to upload a map. Save the changes once I have my map URL added here, and then I have the Fane of Tiamat over here. So now I want to view the scene. Click on that, and you can see I've got the Fane of Tiamat loaded out here. Okay, and then I can just drag and drop a token into the map like so, and you can see that the grid in the background doesn't exactly match the grid on the map. So you can toggle or you can play with the grid size to try to get the map to match the actual background grid, or you can just go with the background grid that the system utilizes. So you can see I didn't put global illumination, so my guy can't see anything when I click on him. So if I right click on him and click on torch, now I can see. That's a hell of a torch. And then if I turn off the torch, and I can't see anymore. Okay, so that's how you add a map. Now there's a lot more to it. Again, that's going into a higher level of learning that I'm not prepared to do on this video. But that's how you would create a map and drag tokens onto it. Okay, so I think that's about it. I'm about to lose my voice, so I don't know how long this video has been. It's probably pretty long, but hopefully this has been some useful information for you. There are other features up here that I haven't played with yet. There is a rollable tables option. There's card stacks. There's a playlist music player. So there's lots of other things that you can do in Foundry that I have not, like I said, played with. But I'll leave that for you to decide if you want to go learn how to do all those things. So, but for now, you have your basics on how to use Foundry for Shadow the Weird Wizard. So I think I will leave it at that. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask, and I might elaborate on anything if you have specific questions in the future, in a future video. But for now, I think I've given you enough to make you dangerous. So with that, let me wrap it up here. Want to thank you all for watching, and hail to the Demon Lord. How do I stop this damn thing?